Good morning, I'm Karen Hamstra. It's January 28th and I say welcome to Title Talk. We have some new things for you this week. The first couple of books have a release date for tomorrow. We have The Line Between by Tosca Lee. This is a suspense novel. It says an extinct disease has reemerged from the melting Alaskan permafrost to cause madness in its victims, and it's now spreading. For former apocalyptic cult member Winter Roth, it's the end she's always been told was coming. So Winter has to find a way to get this disease to stop, and she's only 22 years old, so that's quite a task for someone that young. And then we have a new book that will be part of our browsing collection. It is a Bridesmaids Behaving Badly novel, Three Little Words by Jenny Holiday. I'm sure it would be an interesting read. There is a new historical fiction book by Dana Stabenow, Death of an Eye. It has to do with ancient Egypt. It takes place in Alexandria in 47 BC, and it talks about Cleopatra. How about that? So if you have an interest in Egyptian history, things many years gone by, give that one a try. Death of an Eye. Colleen Coble, Secrets at Cedar Cabin. This is a suspense novel, and Bailey Fleming is running for her life in the wake of her mother's murder, and she goes to the only place she can think of to hide, a remote, dilapidated cabin in Lavender Tides. If you like suspense, Colleen Coble is always really popular too. Fiona Barton has a new one called The Suspect. She is the one who wrote The Widow. This is also a suspense novel. This is when two 18-year-old girls go missing in Thailand. Their families are thrust into the international spotlight. They're desperate and frantic with worry and need to know what were the girls up to before they disappeared. And journalist Kate Waters always does everything she can to be first to the story, but this time she can't help thinking about her own son, who she hasn't seen in 2 years, when he left home to travel. And then there's The Weight of a Piano, which is great, I can tell you. I don't know a thing about the book, but pianos have a great weight, by Chris Kander. This book had a lot of good reviews. Starts out in in the Soviet Union. Katya, who is 8 years old, is given a gift of a Blüthner piano built at the turn of the century in Germany. She loses custody of the piano, so to speak, when she leaves the country, and she ends up in Bakersfield, California. And then, the piano ends up in Bakersfield, California, somehow in custody of someone else who's she loses her boyfriend in her apartment. Anyway, the book follows this piano and how its original owner tries to get it back. As I say, it does sound like a really good book. And then the book you've all been waiting for, The Martha Manual, How to Do Almost Everything by Martha Stewart. The call number for this will be 640-STE. And it truly does look like it tells you how to do most everything. How to hang curtains, mount blinds, attract bees, birds, and butterflies, set up a home bar, how to hang a hammock, bake a cake, how to celebrate Valentine's Day, Easter, how to buy a Christmas tree, you name it. Martha can tell you how to do it. So, go Martha. A couple of large print books. 440 Steps to the Sea by Sarah Alexander. This is basically a historical fiction. It takes place in Italy. An old woman has to decide what to do as she's in her last days in the castle she bought after World War II, I think. Anyway, as her health is deteriorating and such, things come up that she needs to deal with. And then another large print, Murder Has a Motive by Frances Duncan. And this is a Mordecai Tremaine mystery. And when he emerges from the train station in the village of Dalmering, murder is the last thing on his mind, but he's never been able to exist anything in the way of a mystery. A local dramatic amateur production is underway with rehearsals, and there's a body found off stage. And of course, before Mordecai knows what happens, he's involved. We have some new audiobooks that should be coming out later this week, we hope. Louise Penny's Kingdom of the Blind. This is a Three Pines novel featuring Armand Gamache. And those are always really good books. They're suspense kinds of books. Lisa Jewell has a new book, or new audiobook, Watching You. Someone Knows What You Did. This takes place in Bristol, England, in a neighborhood called Melville Heights, home to doctors, lawyers, and old money academics. And it's the sort of place where everyone has a secret and prying eyes lurk behind every curtain. We have a new J.D. Robb audiobook, Connections in Death. This is a gritty and gripping novel in the Eve Dallas series. And in this one, Eve and her husband Rourke are putting a portion of their billions towards building a brand new school and youth shelter. But both Eve and Rourke know all too well the hard life kids can lead towards dangerous crossroads. And they've hired an expert to help, Dr. Rochelle Pickering. And anyway, there's a death shortly after they hire her. And of course, it must be solved. And then this is not a new book, but it was one of the hottest books of 2018 for nonfiction. Now we have the audiobook book version of Educated by Tara Westover. And she was 17 before she ever entered her first classroom. And this book just has been extremely popular. So if you haven't read it yet, maybe you'd like to try it on audiobook. That's it for today. We hope you have a wonderful week. Stay warm with a good book, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for reading with us.